Chat with Jay Vijayan. Unfortunately, Jay had a travel conflict, but don't worry. He and I recorded a session this morning, and I'm going to play it for you. But before that, let me introduce Jay. Jay Vijayan is the founder and CEO of Tekion Corporation, a technology company building and delivering world's best business applications on the cloud, and is currently focused on transforming the automotive industry. He has proven experience in building simple and highly scalable technology platforms and solutions that help transform scale businesses and enable highest level of operational efficiencies. Prior to Tekion, as the Chief Information Officer of Tesla for over 4 years, hired and led a global team which built and scaled Tesla's digital and information platform from ground up, enabling and fueling the company's hypergrowth phase. Now, Jay and I go way back, and we'll be talking to you again.
Piyush, thanks for having me here. Great to see you, and looking forward to our chat today.
Absolutely. If you recall, we first met, when I first met you, you were on the stage at a conference. You were at Tesla, and I did not have a Tesla at that time. And now almost everybody seems to have an EV out there, more so in the Silicon Valley. So how do you see this industry having progressed from your time in those days to now being the founder of a disruptive company, Tekion?
No, great question, Piyush. I'd say I'll give you an overview on a few areas. So I know broadly from the industry perspective, as you know, massive progress. And we all know that today Tesla is $1 trillion company. When I started, the revenue was almost zero. So the company was not even generating any revenue. It's very early. Just they were working on production. So very early stages. So incredible amount of growth, and the industry itself has moved massively, right? Of course, Tesla trailblazed a lot of things with the EVs, and then now there is significant amount of investment and progress in the evolution and into production implementation itself, production invention, and then into production of EVs across the board in the industry. Significant, right? Of course, that said, is EVs available for every person, every geography? Not yet. And I think that's something is still work in progress. I feel EVs are still expensive to the level it's not accessible to everyone who can afford an automobile, but not really an EV. So there is still work to be done, but significant amount of progress from the time we met, I think in 2014, if I remember, maybe in Thai, right? So significant progress from there in all aspects. Every big brand, as you know, have announced EV product lineup, and also they've announced a target timeline when they want to be 100% electric, right? So that I feel is a massive progress in all aspects. Now, from a platform and technology, also I've seen significant amount of progress from the time, Tesla. I believe we were probably the first and only one who was able to successfully do a complete platform. So now that is also changing, because that changed consumer experience, how you interact, how things become seamless. So the technology and platform necessity for delivering that seamless consumer experience and end-to-end connected experience is also right front and center now.
Right. So absolutely, this is your journey is of course very, very interesting, and I want to tell the listeners and viewers here how you moved from being a CIO, and traditional IT folks typically don't go into entrepreneurship, and here you've broken the mold, and now you are unicorn and multiple times a unicorn company. So what's the secret to your success?
Well, I think the good thing is, as you know well, it's, I would say, the foundation for any successful organization, successful growth, accomplishments, I would say relatively similar. So from my point of view, I would say is a few things. So keeping the fundamentals really strong. So one, taking a problem that exists anywhere. In our case, we took an industry problem in the automotive retail space, and this has been a problem for a very, very long time. Outside of a very few exceptions, we all know day to day, the automobile buying experience is not a great experience. Automobile, service experience or maintenance experience is not a great experience. It's many times hit or miss. Right. And then even the engagement experience, right? So you're not connected to your brand many times. And there is no real seamless connection to your brand, whatever vehicle you buy or drive. So that I feel is the fundamental problem that we are solving. So the key is, if you summarize it, one, understanding and taking on a problem. See, the way I see it is on entrepreneurial thought, ideas are there with almost everyone. Where entrepreneurs really, or where people convert into entrepreneurs, is action they're taking on those ideas. And not everyone takes action on their ideas, right? You can see the same idea comes to probably, I'm guessing, thousands of people at the same time. Mm-hmm. Who takes action, and then who is bold enough to say, I'm going to go do this, right? So I feel that is the one. I was lucky to say, find a problem and then say, okay, you know what, we are going to go solve this problem. Then the immediately following that is putting a right team together. I'm always very, very fortunate to have worked with some phenomenal people, and there's nowhere you can be successful just by yourself. It is, you have to make sure it's a right team environment where you have complementary skills, people with common goals go after it. So I was lucky to get the right team together. I've been fortunate to continue to grow that team, bring the right people, like-minded, sometimes complementary skills. That's number two. I think number three is having that continued focus on solving that customer problem in the right way. I feel that is very, very important. Keep going at it, making sure that you have that focus and you have that grit to continue to solve. I think it's just foundational, and then making sure you take the right decision, even if it's a hard decision.
Yeah.
Right. So that I feel has worked out. Maybe we had our learnings. I had my bumps. I had barriers to break, and all of those. We had that learnings. I would say the foundations are pretty much similar to you see in any successful companies. I think that's what I feel has worked out for us as well.
Great. Yeah. So transition from an intrapreneur to an entrepreneur is always tough. But if you have the bug in you, if you have that burning desire to change things, to solve a problem, I think you can do it whatever environment you are in.
Exactly.
And you were fortunate to have a good mentor perhaps, or teams around you. And I want to touch upon one thing you said, that at any given point of time, perhaps thousands of people get the same idea. I think ideas are dime a dozen, but execution is king. And Absolutely. It's the absolute laser sharp focus on customer centricity. I believe you've had that since the beginning.
Absolutely.
And that's what I would say is the biggest thing we would want the message to go out to our audience here.
Very much, Piyush. I think that's fundamental. Right. So today, to put it really simple, it's about, you have to keep asking yourself as a person and as a company, what value you're bringing to your customers, right? That's number one. What value you're bringing? What are you really changing? What impact you're making for them? I think that's a fundamental thing that we do that all the time. What value we are bringing, right? And the value that if you're going into any space, you cannot bring a small, your focus has to be not bringing small incremental value. Maybe you can still conduct a business with that. You have to have a no-brainer, significant value from what exists in the industry today and how are you changing things, right? So you're absolutely right. The key is putting your customers right front and center, and asking yourself, your product, your platform, your services, how do they bring significant value to them, and how do you keep bringing that value and maybe even enhancing that value?
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. Now, I now want to go back to the second time that we met. You were in stealth mode raising funds. So how was it your experience pitching to VCs or to angels and trying to raise funds? Or you hired somebody professional to raise funds? How did you do it?
No, yeah, I think to be honest with you, I don't believe in that. Hiring professionals, it's learning is always good. You can learn from professionals, but it has to be, as an entrepreneur, you have to be real, right? Any entrepreneur, of course, there is always going to be a little bit of enthusiasm. You're going to always be a little bit biased to say your product is the best product, which is okay, right? But you have to be real and who you are. If you don't, the investors don't buy it, they don't buy it. I mean, you don't have an alignment, because I've seen all kinds of, right? So, and it was not easy. It was not a comfortable situation to be an executive in the company where you can make decisions, for the company. But going and pitching for the first time, running a startup is different. And nowadays, we have very successful entrepreneurs, very successful startups, but it's you get out of your comfort zone. You have to do whatever it takes. You have to clean up the office, buy coffee for your team. Doesn't matter, right, what it is. So just do what is necessary to move things forward. Is that true entrepreneurship? So when you pitch to investors, I've seen mixed bag, right? Sometimes you get great investors who listen and who also do the homework and what the industry is about. They know, they relate to you, and they'll say, okay, what? So very genuine, I can say that they are connected, or at least trying to connect. And you will also see investors where, nothing against investors, but you'll also see investors who are truly completely binary. They don't really have a clue. They don't even put effort to understand what the industry is, what it is. And it's rare, but they are very binary. When I say binary, it's all about money for them. Like, okay, just show me what money and how are you going to bring the money, right? Without even understanding what it is. And those, usually I get a feeling within the first 15 minutes of the meeting, you will know, right? I'm wasting my time, he's wasting his time, right? So I'll try to be courteous and polite and see how fast I can get out of that meeting.
Got it.
So it's not an easy thing, but you'll have to go through that process. It's a learning, and anyone will give good feedback. You don't have to take everything and get worried about. Sometimes it can't avoid it. You'll get a little bit of, hey, okay, is it going to be a big problem, what they're pointing out? I mean, it's okay for third party, they'll point out problems, but as an entrepreneur, you need to be really, focused on your vision, right? It's okay to question it, but not really fully shaken up and completely change direction. Because I've seen entrepreneurs, because I invest in a lot of companies as well, great entrepreneurs have been very lucky. There are also rarely entrepreneurs where, they completely, like a pendulum, move one direction or the other direction. Just because someone said something, they'll completely pivot, shift the company to a totally different direction. So basically, if you're not grounded on your vision, if you yourself are not firmly believe in your vision, and changing just because someone is saying something, it's not going to be a long-term thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't change, but it has to be more like a course correction versus...
It has to come from inside the mind of the entrepreneur rather than being influenced by somebody who has wads of money. So got it. So you've got to be self-focused, and it's a two-way relationship with the investor and the investee. And I believe there's some degree of mentorship also that comes from a great investor.
You have to feel a connection. I'll tell you, it's very similarly to how you build a relationship with your team member. Your investor is very important, because you don't want to build a relationship with an investor purely for money. Yes, money is important. I'm not saying it's not, but that shouldn't be the only reason why you're getting investment from someone or getting someone on your board. That is a problem. And I've been very fortunate to be in a position to where, select the right investor. Not all the time we get the luxury, but luckily, most of the time we were in that place to say, okay, this investor is someone I can work with or would relate to. In fact, we've been lucky that way, like where we have a very strong alignment with our investors and board members. So that's something I feel it's important for entrepreneurs, because I've also seen entrepreneurs who have really, really struggled when they don't have a connection. They just feel like, you know what, I don't have any other way. I just have to take money because he's the only one who can give me the capital. So something that need to be really careful and thought through and make sure that there is a connection with your investor.
Great, great. Now, the next time when we met, we talked about what ASEI is and how this was formed out of Michigan, Detroit, and most of our members are from that region who were early automotive and aerospace engineers. And yesterday we did this aerospace summit as well. Wonderful event.
Right.
But I want to talk about how you're disrupting the automotive industry. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the automotive cloud you are building.
Right. So absolutely, it is super exciting, right? As we briefly touched earlier in our conversation, almost everyone is a consumer of an automotive, right? Anyway, you could buy a car, lease a car, you know, go through a ride share. End of the day, you're a consumer in one way or other. Many times you own or lease a vehicle, right? So it touches everyone's life. And as I mentioned to you today, with very few exceptions, the experience of buying an automobile is not great. There are many great brands, great cars, but the whole experience of how you buy a car, how you service a car, and how you engage with your brand, and then the seamless connection with your automotive to all of your experience around it is not great at all, right? Most of the cases, I hit or miss, and you have all kinds of players. There is no consistency. Even with one brand you go, there's no consistent experience you can get. So the fundamental for me was thought process is, okay, how do we build a technology platform, truly a cloud native platform, which can bring the OEM brands, the retailers, doesn't matter, you know, what form the retailer is, a retailer, and then finally a consumer. You bring them together seamlessly in one technology platform and create a win-win for them. And it's not like a superficial platform, like a marketplace only. It is truly an operational platform. Otherwise, this will not be sustainable. So basically, you run a complete entire retail operations on our automotive retail cloud. Everything from, you know, selling your vehicle in a digital retail to consumer engagement, which is CRM, to retail dealer management system to run your entire operations like vehicle inventory, parts inventory, accounting, the whole enchilada of whatever is needed, you bring together in the operation. Now, the way we thought about is traditionally what happens in the industry is it's massive fragmentation. So every department, without knowing, they created silos. And there is multiple software that runs retail, massive amount of different fragmented systems. So if you flip back and think as a consumer, do we, when you go buy a car, when you service a car, do we ever care what system your data goes through, right? Your record, you don't care whether it goes through a CRM or a ERP or a DMS or, service lane or digital retailing. Doesn't matter, right? As a consumer, you shouldn't care. You don't care. All you need is the best experience, consumer experience, the convenience and transparency.
Yeah.
So that is literally what we are changing. So it is. You need to build the complete end-to-end platform, and that is what Tekion Automotive Retail Cloud is, both for dealers, for OEMs, and then finally, and most importantly, for consumers. You completely change the experience of buying a car, servicing a car, which is after sales, and then consumer engagement. And that's pretty much has been the vision that we have been going after. And we've been very lucky to have an incredible validation from the industry, and it's continuing to grow and expand.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, what are the top 3 things you would like to leave our message for the audience, which is a combination of professionals and students? And, you're definitely a role model in terms of the Silicon Valley IT person getting onto entrepreneurship and staying focused, but the students might need something more. And given the theme of our convention, sustainable technology and innovations, anything you want to share with the audience?
Yeah. The first, I would say, fundamental, I'm sure, this is a common thing, but wanted to reiterate for, students or entrepreneurs, doesn't matter, right? So there is a lot going on in the world. There is a lot of technology innovation that's happening, which is encouraging, which is awesome. But at the same time, it also creates a good level of anxiety in people, especially younger entrepreneurs in early days. It's very easy to get swayed by all of these technology innovation that's happening. New technology is coming. The buzzwords people use, anything from blockchain, crypto, which is related to AI advancements. There's so many things that are happening. Neural net and all of those. We don't want people to, younger entrepreneurs especially, they're really fresh, they're enthusiastic about things, but it's easy to get anxiety about like too many things, like what do I do? And sometimes they also forced to just bring everything together in one place without knowing why they're doing what they're doing, okay? So the fundamental is, for younger entrepreneurs is, focus on what you're solving. Technology comes after. Then you take the technology and say, okay, what technology is best to solve that problem? That is how you approach it, and that's how I approached it. And many times through my journey, there are people who would come, even investors. Many of my early investors, someone will always come in and say, "Oh, Jay, you need to market this in a way. This is the AI for automotive." And for me, to be honest with you, they put in the best interest, but the point is, for me, I was like, okay, not really. Like, what value I'm bringing? Yes, we are using AI, we are using ML, we are using IoT, truly to bring together. We are doing everything. We have like focused, really 70 plus people team focused on ML and AI, generating significant value. But that all depends on how much value we are bringing to the ecosystem. So fundamental advice is focus on what are you solving. Then you say, how am I going to solve this with the best technology that is available to solve that particular problem? Don't be forced to use just jargons and use technology just for the sake of using it and try to fit a round peg in a square, or a square peg in a round hole, right? So I think that's, I would say that if you ask me one fundamental advice, just be that. And then from there, and ask, how is it bringing value and how can I enhance value from there? So that's pretty much what I would say.
Awesome. Bringing value, sustaining value. And thank you so much. Congratulations for all your successes so far and all the best for the future as well. Jay, it was a pleasure having you here. Namaste.
Namaste. Really enjoyed the conversation, Piyush. Thank you. We'll stay in touch.
Take care.